There's a common misconception that our lakes are static environments, balanced ecosystems where everything stays in place. But beneath the surface of the Kulkwitzer See, near Leipzig, a quiet transformation is happening. It's a story of Neozoa, species introduced by human hands that have now become the primary architects of the underwater world. Today, we're looking at a fish that is as beautiful as it is disruptive, the Mirror Carp. They are the living bulldozers of the deep, and their presence is changing the very chemistry of the water we see here. As we glide over this underwater meadow, it looks like a scene of absolute serenity. But look closer at the Mirror Carp. You'll notice these aren't just swimming, they are hunting. These are benthivorous fish, meaning they feed almost exclusively on the lake bottom, comparable to pigs or other ground-feeding animals on land. Watch how they dive into the sediment, stirring up the sand and slit with a constant, rhythmic thrust of their mouth. In the aquarium hobby, we're obsessed with substrate, keeping it clean, keeping it tucked away. But here, the carp do the opposite. They trigger a process called nutrient remobilization. By digging into that top layer, they kick up phosphorus and nitrogen that have been locked away in the dirt for years. In some lakes, this creates a massive cloud of sediment that hangs in the water like a fog. Here, in the Kulkwitzer Lake, the sand is heavy and settles quickly, but the chemical impact remains. They are essentially self-fertilizing the lake, which can lead to algae blooms and a total shift in how plants and other fish survive in this space. Because the self-fertilization of the lake leads to algae growth, is then consumed by smaller microcrustaceans and plankton, which are in turn consumed by smaller fish, and these smaller fish provide the nutrition for larger fish. But the mirror carp aren't alone in this changing landscape. While they busy themselves with the dirt, other species have to adapt to the visibility and the changing vegetation. Look at this juvenile Northern Pike, for example, an apex predator in training. He relies on the clarity of the water and the thickness of these weeds to ambush his prey. When the carp move through and thin out the vegetation or cloud the water, the pike's world becomes a lot more difficult. And then there's the European perch. This one is a rather sickly looking specimen, but I love this shot of him gliding over this field of mussels. It's like an underwater graveyard, yet it is teeming with life. Mussels act as the lake's natural filters, desperately trying to clean the water that the carp are constantly stirring up. It's a delicate, constant tug of war between the filters and the diggers. Somewhere in the darker, deeper shadows, the catfish, or whales as we call them in Germany, watches it all. They all play their part. But as Neozoa, the carp are the ones setting the tempo for everyone else. And at the size that these specimens are, they don't have any natural predators here anymore. Not even the majestic catfish. As we follow the mirror carp towards the end of our journey, they move away from the natural meadows and towards something more structural. They swim effortlessly through this man-made platform, a reminder of how deeply our world and theirs are now intertwined. These fish aren't just visitors anymore. They've claimed every inch of this lake, from the wild reeds to the man-made steel piers we build above them. Seeing them move through these structures, you realize that Neozoa isn't just a scientific label. It's a testament to how adaptable nature is. They've taken a landscape we thought we understood and have rewritten the rules, one mouthful of dirt at a time. It's fascinating to think that a single species can act as a natural fertilizer, changing the entire nutrient profile of the lake just by looking for a snack. It's a reminder that even in our own aquariums, every inhabitant, no matter how small, is an architect of their own environment. I'm curious to hear your thoughts. Do you see these living bulldozers in your local lakes, or do you find the impact of Neozoa to be a larger problem than we realize? Let's talk about it in the comments. Also, I want to say a big thanks to the whole Guppy gang, Julius, JVP, Dottie, Belgian Bugs, and Ryder Cedric for supporting Edgar's Fish channel. This is really an important support, and if you want to join the Guppy gang, please feel free to do so. And I want to say thank you to Lorenz for providing this amazing underwater footage as always. If you enjoyed this dive into the Kulkwitzer See, maybe you'd also like to see this video on the right hand side where I show Northern Pike, European perch, eel, crayfish and more in the Weimarer Lake. or this video on the left hand side. Thanks for watching.